All right, this is going to be an even shorter quick review lesson. Your assignment 5 through 15 odd, not that bad. So again, we are on chapter 5, and this time we're on 5.5, slope. Now, slope, remember, rise over run. One of the easiest things you can remember for graphing, because that's going to help you so much out in 8th grade and high school. Now, on the previous information, when we were trying to go ahead and find our proportion idea, I asked you to have it as y over x, and that's exactly the reason why presented here. Slope, change in y over change in x. Now, the majority of your problems are looking at your graphs. And again, I'm going to ask you to do y over x. So if you notice on here, example A, they actually kind of do the movement x first and then y. I always like starting on the first point because we read left to right, so the left point, and then moving up and right. Or in 8th grade, down and then right. This one here, for whatever reason, it goes right and then up. Technically, that's okay, but again, we want to make sure we truly understand which is the rise and which is the run. So when we have a problem like this presented to us, starting here on the left, I'm going to ask go up and then right. We'll do that one a little bit more specific on the writing tablet program there. And then when we have a data table, it's really just plotting points. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a online graphing calculator so that you can end up getting a quick graph like this. And then you should be able to, hopefully, count your rise over run. And we're going to adjust it to on your own, do a little bit of thinking problems, and being able to write from that. So again, looking at your quick assignment 5 through 15 odd, you've got nice graph problems, got some data tables. Again, you can just go ahead and graph the data by going to the online website or the online graphing. It's 11 and 13 and 15. I'll show you again how to do that. We'll do specifically number 14. All right, let's see here. So find the slope of the line. I'm going to go ahead and recognize these are my 2 points. And again, I'm going to count rise, then run. So I have a bunch of my students who just go ahead and make that right triangle. And that teaches them rise over run. Our slope, which is commonly referred to as m in 8th grade. And again, that is change in y. In high school, it's going to look like this. Triangle delta y over delta x, which is just a fancy way of saying change in y over change in x, which is really, again, just our rise over run. Ooh, proportional. Remember that? Proportional. We'll talk about the graph's proportionality in just a moment. All right, so did you figure it out? What's the rise? 1, 2 boxes. And what's the run? 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the dot 5. Now, some students, when they're here, they say 1, and then they move and say 2. No, it's 1 box, 2 box. You're counting the boxes. So again, I'm teaching you how to count today. Woo. So we've got our slope as 5 over 2. We are not going to write it as a mixed number. Again, our slope is 5 over 2. All right, this one here, we've got our 2 points already identified again. So, let's see here. Rise over run. Now this one, if you notice, it's like in the middle. So really can't count the boxes because it's like half a box and then a full box. And if you notice, each box is counting by 2. So it's really 1, 2, 3. And I know that because a 5 increasing by 3 will get me to my 8. Because remember, the y is your second number. Your ordered pair is always x, y. And then my run is 1 box. My x-axis is counting by 1. So it means my slope is 3 over 1. This one you could reduce to 3, though, especially when we get to writing equations in 8th grade. All right, let's see here. Example 2. So let me go back to example 2. So noticing here on example 2, they use those 2 points identified to find the slope of 5. What it's asking us to do is use 2 other points to find the slope. Does the slope change? Now remember, it is simply rise over run. So let me go over here. I've got all the data points. So basically it's asking me if I take this point here, which is 2 for the x, 10 for the y. I could even use this point, but I'm going to go to right here, this point, which is 6 for the x and 30 for the y. It's asking me if I use 2 different points on the line, am I going to get the exact same slope? Let's see. We start on the left point. We count our rise over our run. Now let's see. I go up 2 boxes. Each box is counting by 10. So that would be a rise of 20. And then I go to the right 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, and each box is counting by 4 on the x-axis. So I have a run of 4. So my slope is rise over run, 20 over 4, which is a slope of 5. And if you remember, isn't that the exact same slope that we had from example 2? So really, this is a question from 8th grade, and we ask our students this all the time. It really doesn't matter. You can use any 2 points that you want as long as you are still reducing and you set it up correctly, rise over run, or a little bit different form in 8th grade. But again, if you take 2 points from the line, 2 different points from the same line, it's going to give you the exact same slope. And that's great because, again, it's student choice. You can pick any 2 points you want. All right, just did that. All right, 4. The graph shows the amounts you and your friend earn babysitting. You've got you, and then you got the friend. Compare the steepness of the lines. You notice how your friend, it's a little bit steeper. What does this mean in the context of the problem? Find and interpret the slope of the blue line. Now, didn't we already find the slope of the red line? 5. So I'm going to say slope is 5. And I think that really comes out to $5 per hour. Because again, it's a rate of change. All right, so our friend here, ooh, that friend looks like they're going to be making more money than you. I don't know. All right, the box thing's in a little way, but let's see. 1. Ooh, I can't really use the box counting. Let's see if the book has a different suggestion. Change in y over change of x. Oh, they don't. They're making you know some information. All right, so this is kind of the 8th grade thinking. So let's see real quick. So it makes this right triangle, but we can't really count it very well because the boxes don't look good. Now, if you remember, the slope is the change in y over the change in x. So how does a 28 change into a 56? One more time, because I'm starting on the left one. How does a 28 change into a 56? Isn't that an increase of 28? Okay. And how does a 4 change into an 8? 4 changes into an 8 by an increase of 4. Hey, what is a positive 28 divided by a positive 4? That would be a positive 7. So the slope is 7, which is going to come out to $7 per hour. Friend's making more than you. So the steepness of the line essentially refers to making more money in this problem. We found the slope and we interpreted it to be $7 per hour. Maybe they're CPR certified. Charge more. All right, last thing I want to show you is Desmos.com. So for Desmos.com, again, we can go ahead and start graphing. And this allows us, again, to check our graphs later on. But more importantly, it allows you to go a little bit quicker on your assignment. Looking at number 11, it says graph the data. And what we could do is, let's see if we can find it. No, there was a setting here. There we go, table. Want to put a table in. So on problem number 11, you would type in all of your x's. So that'd be 5, 10, and so on. And then you'd type in your y's, and then you'd look at that information, and hopefully you'd be able to interpret the slope, which is counting rise over run. All right, let's look at number 14, which will help you on 13 and 15. Number 14, remember the order is x then y. So number 14, it's negative 3 halves. And my y is negative 3 halves. So just that slash for the fraction line sets it up there. All right, the next one is positive 3 halves. And positive 3 halves. So I've got my points here graphed for me. I could zoom in. And again, this is, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. There we go. So you got kind of like the perfect idea, counting by halves. So it'd be rise over run, because it's asking us to find the slope. So let's see, it'd be half, 1, 1.5. Again, I'm doing number 14 from the assignment, but you didn't have to do it. So again, that's 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. So my rise is 3. Now I need to count over to get to, or do the run to get to that point. Because again, I just went up vertically, and then I'm going to go horizontally. So I'm at 3 for my change in y, or my rise. Let's see, counting by halves. Half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. Hey, 3 for my run. So that means my slope is simply going to be 3 over 3, which is a 1 whole, or a 1 over 1. Rise 1, run 1. So again, all I did was type in those points there. When I went to add, and I selected the table. And then I zoomed out, zoomed in, whatever you need to be able to count your rise and your run. Those grids really help me by counting by the halves. Hopefully you can do that as well. All right, last thing wanted to go ahead and mention, and it was directly in our textbook. It was like an extension, graphing proportionality. We had some questions on this earlier in the year. Where'd it go? Basically, it was asking if the graph was proportional or not. And what we came up with is if the line touches the origin, remember the origin is the very center. It's hiding somewhere. But remember we did it. If it touches the origin, it is proportional. So in case you have a question like that coming up, again, if the line touches the origin, the line is proportional. Yay. All right. Be awesome. Send any questions. Have a good day.